Think of the fund industry operating with records that work like a relay race. And everybody can only race once he received the baton and once he's checked the baton. Now, with blockchain, the relay race concept changes into a single shared record, into a synchronized sprint in one track. Faster, and it's going to be by far more efficient for everybody.
It seems that, at least from that perspective, the market has already made its vote.
70% would be working on EVM chains. The security token has the requirement to kind of mirror certain things you could do in the real world. You can, for example, freeze them, you can claim them back out of a wallet, and you can for sure burn them and mint them. Actually, in this space, there is no reason not to go with T+0.
I know some of you that always said, well, I never really understood what blockchain is. So if you really want to start to get into that, that's your session today. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Final Block, our fun tokenization podcast series. And today we are going to speak about blockchain and blockchain technology with our resident expert, Dr. Eric Falk. Eric has long-standing experience in blockchain. He's not only talking about it, he's a system thinker, and he has proven track record of having built blockchain infrastructures. So he's kind of breathing blockchain. So we are going to look under the hood of blockchain and fund tokenization and what makes fund tokenization work. We're going to speak wallets, we're going to speak smart contract, safekeeping of fund tokens, and so on and so on. Hang on, I know some of you that always said, well, I never really understood what blockchain is. So blockchain is a cryptographic technology, and with the help of that cryptographic technology, records, so-called blocks, get interlinked with other records blocks to form a chain, the so-called blockchain. Think of it like a first equation that you have to solve. And the result of the first equation goes into the second equation. And then you solve the second equation. The result of the second equation goes in the third, that goes in the fourth, that goes in the fifth. And so that's the way you interconnect these records, making them hardly falsifiable and making them very safe. Now you could say, well, what does that make with the fund tokenization and with the fund industry? Why is that so revolutionary? Well, there, think of the fund industry operating with records that work like a relay race. So every transaction is like a baton that gets passed from one player to the other, from issuing to registering, from order routing to settlement to safekeeping. So everybody passes this baton to the other runner, from the fund to the TA, from the TA to the centralizing platform, from the centralizing platform to the sub-custodian, custodian, and so on. So it works, but it's very burdensome, and everybody can only race once he received the baton and once he's checked the baton. Now, with blockchain, the relay race concept changes into a single shared record, a kind of digital baton, which is accessible to everybody at the same time and where everybody contributed. So you're changing kind of the relay race into a synchronized sprint in one track. So it's going to be faster and it's going to be by far more efficient for everybody. So if you are interested how this all interconnects, this session is for you. So Eric,
I wanted to start, and maybe if you could give us some basics on what blockchain really is. I know it's used a lot, but maybe nevertheless it's good to define a little bit the term as such.
Yes. Okay, sure, George, with pleasure. So in very short, so blockchain, as the name indicates, is a chain of blocks. They are all appended one after the other, and those blocks, they contain transaction informations. So, and if in the end we sum up those transactions in the blocks, we come up with a total that somebody is holding in their wallet, as it's said in the crypto space. And this is how all of this functions. And those blockchains, they have several network participants who are providing the nodes.
Okay,
Yes.
Can you get to our audience, how do you define a wallet in blockchain terms?
Sure. It's pretty similar than what we understand by wallet, which is, wrapper that we use to put our money in. So there it's no difference to the real world. So it's a wrapper where I keep my tokens, my coins in. The difference is in functioning, how it works. So in the blockchain domain, a wallet is composed by two key elements. It is one inside the address. So if we would be talking in terms of banking, that could be an IBAN number, for example. So if I want to send you funds, I need to know your wallet address. And the second element that constitutes a wallet is private key. So this private key will be used to provide a signature on a transaction. And this signature will testify that the transaction was really pushed into the network from the rightful owner of this wallet. So, and only then will my transaction be accepted and executed. So a wallet, it's the same. It's a wrapper that holds my tokens and coins, but it's consisting of an address and a private key.
All you have said is like the wrapper, or it's like an account.
It's an account, yes.
That I would have on the blockchain. Now, just also one hears from time to time this situation, or somebody has lost his key and cannot access anymore his wallet. So there is a difference, as I understand, between self-custody, so you have your own key, or a custody situation also in for wallets. So can you quickly explain there the difference?
For sure. So with the wallets, all comes down to who has control of the private key. So if I have control of my private key and I'm the only person who has control, I can do everything with my funds in my wallet. But if I lose it, nobody can do anything, right? So if I myself manage my keys, I would be in a scenario where I'm having self-custody over my assets. If an institution or another player is managing my private key, then we are talking about a custody wallet. So I can transfer funds, but I am basically mandating this other player to sign a transaction on my behalf. And this custodian is keeping track of my keys, is managing my key in a secure way. And that's where the term then custody applies.
Yeah. So I have used in the past this image, like I take my money, I put it in a safe at home. Mm-hmm. So well, then I'm taking full responsibility.
If you forget the combination,
yes,
you're in the same setting.
In trouble. Or I put it in the safe at the bank, and then the bank will open the safe for me. That's exactly what it is.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely right.
Good. So then on our journey to explain different kind of vocabulary, minting and burning is something, as soon as you start with blockchain, gets quickly into sentences and in text. So could you explain what is minting and burning?
Yes. So we talk about tokens all the time. So a token is, as the name suggests, it's a little representation. It's a medium of some value, and those tokens, they need to be created or issued. Mm-hmm. And the act of issuing those tokens in the blockchain space is called minting. So minting equals the issuance. And on the other side of it, we have the burning transaction. So when those tokens need to be destroyed again, we would be talking about burning.
Okay. So, and I think to make the link with the blockchain 4 law, the control agent would be the person that has regulatory authority to destroy or to mint and to burn these records. That's
absolutely
properly understood. Okay. So maybe in order to take a little bit away the fear here, I've described these cases. I've lost my key and now I cannot access anymore my bitcoins or my cryptocurrencies, and it's a final loss. Is that also applying as such to the security tokens environment?
Mm-hmm. So the security tokens environment is a bit different, as the security token realm has the requirement to kind of mirror certain things you could do in the real world. So one of those things would be if it turns out that an individual or an investor holder of this securities did act wrong in a certain way and needs those tokens or those belongings to be stripped again or be frozen. This is a requirement for a security token. So those tokens are a bit smarter than just where you can do more than just sending them around. You can, for example, freeze them. You can claim them back out of a wallet, and you can for sure burn them and mint them. So one case could be, even if a person is in self-custody of their keys, their private keys, we could imagine that given a business process, the person proves that now the old wallet is not accessible anymore or has a new wallet, we could imagine basically burning or claiming back the tokens and sending them to a new wallet. So those funds wouldn't be lost.
Okay. So meaning if, for example, I would be in self-custody, I lose my key, I can come back to the control agent and say, well, look, it's me, I'm the owner, and I lost my key. So, and as a control agent, one would be in the possibility to say, absolutely right, I identify you again, you are the right person. And so the old record is destroyed and a new record is issued.
Yes, yes.
And basically the same would apply, if I understand you correctly, if somebody steals the record and would come and present himself to cash in, we would say, well, look, you are not the person that should be the owner of this thing.
Yes, technically, yes.
So I think that is very important to understand. There's a lot of control mechanisms if it comes to tokenization in the financial industry. Then I wanted to speak a little bit about this difference about registration only and smart contracting. Could you explain what is a little bit the difference between these two?
Yes. So if we would talk about registration only, means that we would leverage a transaction on the blockchain to basically place a record. So imagine I wanted to place a record somewhere. I could, for example, send you a message by doing a wire transfer on my bank and writing, I don't know, hello George in my transfer communication. And this is pretty much how we keep records, by using a payload and inscribing data in those blockchain transactions. And there we have basically anchored or timestamped a record, materialized by a transaction. Now, when we're talking about smart contracts, we have additional capabilities on executing code. So one could imagine if a certain record flies into my smart contract, that I execute something right afterwards. So that is the door opener or one of the door openers for T+0 settlement. You know, I can transact with a smart contract that basically for a payment I provide returns me a certain counter value.
Or coming to registration again, it would be more like just accounting for an ownership.
Yes.
And the second element, like the smart contract, would rather go into settlement, deliver versus payment kind of mechanisms, and so on and so on. Okay. So how do you see the advantages of smart contracting? What is the kind of elements that makes it really attractive?
So, you know, we spoke about EVM chains and the other chains. So all chains have kind of the notion of a market maker, where I can have an order book and place orders in there, and I can match orders and exchange. Now, this is then, I would be limited to what the protocol of those chains has foreseen to do. And this can be a problem if the blockchain protocol didn't foresee a mechanism to claim back tokens, then I simply can't do it. Whereas with smart contracts, the logic or how a token has to function lays with the developers of the smart contract. So it means we are free to develop the rules that we want when it comes to our token. So if a token needs to be needs to be freezable or needs to be burnable, we are free to develop this in the smart contract. So that is the strength, that basically we can have, or we can realize all different kind of requirements that the tokens have.
So there, what is also often required for the fund industry is you have different categorization of investors. I mean, you could have professional investors, you could have private investors that are qualified as knowledgeable and are fit for more complicated instruments, or you would simply have people that have no sophistication level at all and would just be open for the easiest products. How would you reflect that in a smart contract?
So that is reflectable quite simply in a smart contract. So those 4 categories, they can easily be mapped. And in the end of the day, what it comes down to, the smart contract, they are interacting with pairs of wallets. So with addresses, public addresses, and so on and so forth. So the only thing the smart contract has to know is this wallet address is an investor type A, this wallet address is an investor type B, and depending on the investor type, I will have access to certain functionalities in the smart contract.
Okay, so A's just do with A's, B with B, or maybe you could say all the A's can also do with the B's, but not. Okay, all kind of rules can be defined.
A very simple example, we could say an investor of type A can get tokens up to a ceiling of 10,000. So if the smart contract has the investor A wallet as identified or whitelisted as an investor A, will not hand out more tokens than a 10,000 ceiling.
And all these layers, clearly the technology and we as players, we are fit for this kind of smart contracting.
Of course.
So, of course, with then also with the smart contracting is also one big advantage. And we have spoken with some interested people, and we've spoken about reducing the settlement time, and we were speaking about maybe T+1, and then some people said, why is there still a reason not to go for T+0?
Actually, in this space, there is no reason not to go with T+0. If we basically are always knowledgeable about a certain buying or purchasing price, and given that information, there is nothing that stops us from going to move forward with a T+0.
Yeah. Unless I would maybe then mention that I think right now what is the technology, as you have confirmed, sits there. The specifications and the regulations can be built into smart contracts as of today. Mm-hmm. So the most tricky point, and that's maybe the message also to regulators and policymakers, is give us a cash equivalent, because the smart contract needs to understand or has to have a token to be exchanged against a token. Is that still correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So we still cannot bring cash on-chain. And if we want to achieve this T+0 settlement, what's important is basically that the two parties come to the table with their assets, and they can change them right away. So if one side still has to rely on a confirmation that cash has arrived in the bank account, then this whole mechanism doesn't work, because the smart contract needs to be informed from the outside that they can settle. And so definitely we need the means to come to the table with our assets.
Yeah, and as we have seen, there are already today means, but what we need is broader use and even broader offer. So a better or more euro stable coins. Also happy to have fully regulated stable coins. That's what we need. We need a means to settle, or maybe even money market equivalents that we could use as also very stable kind of representation of money. Then maybe a last one, 24/7. I mean, and basically maybe before we speak about 24/7. Let's speak once quickly about liquidity. What would you say? I usually say like tokenization does not bring automatically liquidity, but there will be no liquidity without tokenization. So
Yes.
how would you position that debate?
Think you're no, I'm not. I don't think I'm sure you're right. Is when you tokenize things, for that time you end up with tokens, right? But what you basically want is convert those tokens into money. So we do see even on different blockchains there is more or less liquidity. So right now I think one of the most liquid blockchains is Ethereum, with participants holding assets in there. That still doesn't help. We must be able to bring this liquidity to the market maker, to the smart contract. And so there, you still have to be cautious about regulation, because in the end of the day, security tokens are securities, so they are subject to regulation, certain amount of controls. So there's still steps to be done in order to be able to bring the liquidity to those tokens. Mm-hmm. So that's what I would say.
So and then also when we had these discussions with potential users, they say, well, maybe we do not need right now already 24/7. So what would be your response to that?
Maybe we don't need it, but if we can have it, I'm pretty sure people would get used to it very quickly, as I think everybody gets used to comfortable things or luxurious things pretty quickly. I don't think it's a bad thing that if I personally need liquidity and I would need to liquidate some of my assets or holdings, if this could be done while limiting losses or limiting exit fees, I wouldn't see anything that should be against it.
Yeah. So if it's anyhow there, why not use it?
Right.
That would be your argument. Okay. So maybe to close, I mean, would you confirm that you said that, and also from what we see and what we have already exercised, because you're still operating everyday tokenization of funds. Would you say we are ready for large scale? We are ready to go full steam ahead?
Yes, absolutely. I have trust in what we have built, and I'm confident that it's a good product and that we can go full steam ahead and scale it up.
So that was our short session on how to start to get into tokenization, how to understand basic blockchain concepts. I hope we have given you some guidelines. Of course, we will deepen certain kind of these discussions, like on the wallets, like on the chains to be used. We will present different chains in other sessions. So stay tuned for more sessions. I'm happy to announce our third episode. Our third episode is again a little bit more legally. So we are going to have Nadia Manzari, former CSSF regulator and now lawyer. She specializes in everything which is MiCA. She's also active in blockchain 4 and similar. And we will discuss a little bit more on how MiCA fits and does not fit in all this, and as well as what kind of requirements are needed to be authorized under the blockchain 4 law. So before we close, we have still, like last time, a nice bottle of wine. So let's see what we have. So on our last episode, we were speaking about wine and innovation. So this time, as we speak about new technology, I wanted to connect this episode in reliability and good standard, good quality. And for that, I brought a Gevrey Chambertin Clos Prieur, so a Burgundy wine. And it's coming from the house which is called the Joseph Drouin, which was founded 1880, so a hell lot of time ago. Just wanted to mention again that 2009 they made a serious effort in being bio-certified, organic certified. So, let's give it a try. Very nice, interesting,
Reliable.
reliable,
Right.
reliable and safe. Maybe we should.
Yes.
So I was just wondering, as a little bit off the road now. It's also blockchain has got at a certain moment some bad traction on criminality and so how do you assess it right now?
I think this came from the fact that you basically can transact anonymously across borders, and then obviously I think it was a good channel for people who didn't want to, acknowledge that they did certain financial transactions, and that's how it was used for certain criminal activities. But again, doesn't mean that everybody is a criminal. And now, as blockchain and Web3 in general is getting more and more industrial adoption, and also governments are looking into this technology. So regulation makes it much harder now to convert those tokens in cash, because that's what you want in the end of the day, unless more vendors just accept crypto, But even then you could say we only accept crypto from KYC. It can even be programmed in point of sales. We only accept crypto from KYC wallets. So
as we start blockchain on the regulated side, there is even one could even argue that blockchain right now, once it starts regulated, then it's even safer than normal kind of transacting within the cash frames, for example.
Yes.
Where from time to time you lose track in blockchain. As we have this chain, you never lose the chain, no?
Absolutely. I mean, every funds remain, the flow of the funds, they remain traceable. When it's funny when you hear chain analysts or law enforcement, how they talk about how many transactions they identified being part of fraudulent or criminal activities. I think I heard one very interesting comment once and said, yeah, but if it wasn't blockchain, you wouldn't even have statistics on how many financial transactions are connected to crime. But on blockchain, you have it. So you see, you even have you at least have the means to follow the money, how you say.
So you would say that the darknet of blockchain, the days of darknet of blockchain is over, at least when it comes to financial services, no?
Right, I would say so. I'm not saying that it's not still usable, but I mean the traditional systems are also at certain occasions still misused for bad causes. So.
Okay, thank you very much, Eric. It was very inspiring as always. I hope you all learned some more notions, some more vocabulary, and some more other elements. Remember, we're going to have a third episode. If you want to be briefed on notified, register yourself. And remember, T+0 is knocking at your door. Are you ready to open it?